Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and today is going to be a favourite for a lot of you, but you're really going to get off on this topic because today it's all out war on Tesla, and a lot of you are fans of Elon and a lot of you aren't. But either way, I'm just going to present you with the facts as I know them, as they are reported, and as a citizen, I can't even say it, as a citizen journalist, and I say that because it inflames a lot of people. You're not a journalist. No, I'm not actually, but I can be your citizen journalist. I can bring you the news before the news brings you the news, because all you see out there is that he's pissed off a lot of people by trying to save them money, and some people don't want to have their money saved. So let's have a look. They're getting hammered. Mainstream media is hammering the company. They take great delight. Like, I could drive a pride flag covered Ferrari, the latest model, off a high-rise building and through the front of the biggest shopping centre in Adelaide, and the news headline would be "Man crashes car in Australian state." I can hit a gutter in a new Tesla and mow down one cockroach and one blade of grass, and it's Tesla kills animals and environment. You get me? This is how mainstream media work. They treat you as an idiot and they feed you slop in the hope that you keep clicking through their shit and give them paid ad revenue. It's pretty much how it works. And look, there's been some big vandalism lately. In Maine, there was that supercharger stall set on fire and burnt down by protesters, or whatever they were, vandals, I'll call them, or as the American government have just labelled them, actual terrorists. 48 hours, that was rebuilt and up again. So that really didn't do anything. And that was a supercharger that charged cars other than Teslas. So they're not real bright, some of these people. And then there was the vandalism in Seattle. Now, if you've ever watched the movie Sleepless in Seattle, you'd be aware that city is mainly full of lunatics. And yeah, they burnt some cars, and it's pretty hardcore shit. Like, your average dude that gets around with blue hair and 50 facial piercings isn't normally the same dude that's going to go and chuck Molotov cocktails at cars. I mean, they are part of the party of joy and happiness. But who is it then? If it's not these people that the media would have you believe, who is it? Well, it's quite clear, isn't it? It's been pointed out, there's a lot of the problem Musk had was cancelling a lot with Doge, cancelling a lot of funding to a government organisation called USAID. And what USAID would do, it wasn't about feeding kids, as the name would have you believe. It was international development abroad. So, there were some fairly controversial things that they did, and programs that were axed. And yeah, I'm not going into that because, I'll leave that to the experts. But one thing they can do is fund money off that they get given. They can say, look, we're USAID, and the government will go, oh, here, have $50 billion. And then they can siphon money off to non-government organisations called NGOs that don't have to account where it goes to. Now, a lot of the USAID money was going to a organisation called Act Blue, which is a joyous, democratic, left-wing, power to the people kind of deal. But unfortunately, they also organise paid protests, print you banners, tell you how to incite, and basically the US taxpayer was funding these protesters, and they were getting paid to go and protest. I mean, you haven't got a job. Why wouldn't you take a few $100 a day to hold a sign saying Elon Musk is a nasty, or whatever they were calling him? This is how it works. And, it's dumb, and it's being cut off, and it's shit. Like, the same kind of money was being used to fund a website called Tesla Takedown, which is, there it is there, sell your car, give your car away, sell your stock, rise, resist, all of this futile bullshit. But here's the problem, you sell your car, someone else is going to buy it, right? and they're going to be driving it around. You're going to be left without a car, and you're going to have to buy another car. And this person's family that got their cheap Tesla are going to see how good they are, and they're probably going to buy more. So it's pretty darn stupid, the whole thing, you know, and just brainless. Now you can see the video of this guy running down the road. I think I sent you that one, Justin, and banging on the windows of a Cybertruck. Like, what are you going to do to a Cybertruck, banging on the windows of it? I mean, these people, again, they live in a country where you're allowed to conceal carry, and in some cases open carry, and they're openly, physically being violent to you and your possessions. Like, someone is going to get hurt here. Someone's head's going to get blown clean off. And I'm channeling Dirty Harry there. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. It's just awful. But again, these people are being paid to do it by the same people that were around in 2020. They were doing other sorts of protests about lives that mattered and other riots in Portland and Seattle. These are all the same people, right? And not so long ago, they were protesting other things they didn't know anything about, like national sovereignty in the Middle East and stuff like that. These are paid shit stirrers, and now they're going to be hooked up as terrorists. And I think it's actually quite funny, because your family's driving down the street and some weirdo's doing that to you, and, you know, your wife and your kids are in the car. They could have an accident. They could get hurt. Only so some idiot can cop a couple of $100 to try and keep their mates behind them in the deep state happy, you know. And the share price has suffered, not because of this, obviously because of sales figures, but I can bet you bottom dollar that these elected officials from the previous party that are on $274,000 a year and have a net worth of $78 million, and we all know who we're talking about there, but I can't put up a picture so I don't want to get into trouble. They're doing it by rigging the stock market. They know what's happening before you on the street know what's happening. And if you look at some of their transactions, there is actually a Twitter account called the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. And if you followed her, you mirrored her publicly made trades over the past 3 years, you'd be up something like 450%. You tell me how that isn't rigged. Well, there you go. So a very important thing happened today, at the day of filming, and, you know, there is this other movement, Stand with Tesla, but the big guy himself, the orange man, DJT, although he's not allowed to drive a car as part of his contract of being president. Did you know that? Yeah, that's true. But they tell me I'm the very best driver of cars. Just ask me, I know. He got a lineup, and he bought one at full sticker, a red Model S Plaid with a white interior, off Elon today. In return, Elon promised to double production in the US over the next 2 years. I'd like to see how you're going to do that, buddy. We might end up on Mars first. As long as, you know, you might die on Mars, as long as it's not on impact. But yeah, there's a big rift, and it's coming and it's happened. But again, like all of these things, there's the noisy minority trying to represent the silent majority, and it's just not going to work. So I can't give financial advice here, but I know what I'm doing with this week's paycheck, probably buying 0.015 of a share of Tesla. So thank you once more for listening to Range Anxiety TV.